my audience can find you?
My name is Monique Davis. I'm a registered nurse. I am a teen crisis coach, and I invest in real estate. You can find me on all the social medias. My link tree is attached to my social media at Facebook with just my name, and any information that you want on me is somewhere in that link tree.
Perfect. So take us through the beginning of your journey into parenting. How did it all start? And was this something that you always thought you wanted to do, or was it like, well, I have kid number one, I got to make it work now? So tell us, how did it start?
So actually, my journey started when I was 19. It was unexpected. I really didn't have plans on having any children. I think when you're young at that age, you don't really, well, at least I didn't. I didn't think about having kids at all. And then I was 19 and pregnant. So my journey started then, and I still didn't plan to have any more children after my first one. And yet I ended up with four. So I think God had other plans for me.
I remember a time in my late teens around that age where that was always on my mind. I'm like, if I take it to the next level with my girlfriend, what if she gets pregnant? I was like living this paranoia where it could be like, as soon as, for example, you kiss, or she gets pregnant. Like it was just like this weird mental view of it I had, right? But when you had your first child, and this was something that you didn't think you're going to have, did you say, okay, one's enough? But then when you look back and you have four later, you're like, okay, I kind of made it work, and I'm raising beautiful children, and here I am today.
Yeah, I think I didn't plan to have my second one either, but I'm thankful that it went the way it went because I had my boys 16 months apart, and so they've been best friends their whole life. So it was really, really hard when they were little, because it's two sets of diapers and all the things, right? But then they were kind of had a built-in best friend all the time, so it made life a little bit easier for me as they grew up and they had each other, I guess. So I didn't plan on any of that, but that's how it went. And when my girls came along 5 years later, I did plan to have my daughter, not my second daughter, but like I said, God had other plans.
I think you're one of the first mothers that I've talked to where it's an even split, two boys, two girls,
Yeah.
right?
Two boys, two girls. And my boys are older, my girls are younger, and they're both exactly 16 months apart, both sets.
Now that you have four, and here's a question that I would like to ask, and hopefully you don't take offense. Would you have any more?
I might have, but I could not after the age of 28. So that wasn't an option for me. But I'll tell you, I've gathered children over the years and brought them into my home. So I've had many, many. So maybe.
Perfect. Because I don't have any children myself. And when I speak to parents, I always like to understand their journey because when I wanted to have my family and I was able to overcome this fear of everything that I did would get someone pregnant, um, I wanted it for maybe reasons that weren't the best, is because I grew up without my mother or my father. So I always wanted to create a family so I could belong to a family dynamic. Now that you have four children, you mentioned that you've had other children in and out of the house. Do you feel a sense of family unit with these four children that maybe you didn't think that you would have had earlier on when you didn't want to have children or you weren't planning to have them?
Yeah, I think, um, when I was young, I thought, oh, I'm gonna be this, businesswoman and have no children and just live the single life and do all of that stuff in my little 18-year-old head. And then I actually became a stay-at-home mom for many years, and I raised my kids at home. So it was a drastic change. But yes, there's a huge sense of belonging there with all that. And now I'm an empty nester, and that changes again. So it's a different feeling to have them leave after you've had them most of your life. So
How is that journey going from a house that's filled with children, filled with energy, you're chasing kids, you're chasing diapers, to now where it's like, more children. You can actually hear your own thoughts. How's that experience?
it's been interesting. My boys have been gone for about 7 and 8 years. And then my last girl just left in January. So I've had children, all along right up until this last January when she went off to college, and it's very quiet. It's a whole different dynamic, and you have to learn what does life look like now, without being just raising kids all the time. Do they call me and need stuff and all that? Yes, you're still always a mother, but it's definitely different not having them right under your wing all the time.
Are you transitioning into like a different type of person now because you went from Monique without children, then you went to Monique the mother, and now you're Monique without children again? Like, how is that transition for you?
I'm still in process and I'm still trying to figure that out. I think that the last couple of years I knew it was coming. I mean, I've always known. For me, I've always had the belief system that my children do not belong to me. They have come through me, but they don't belong to me. So I've been preparing them to go out into the world and do their own thing always. But I didn't prepare myself as well as I was preparing them. So the last couple of years, I've been trying to get ready for that and kind of establish some things in my life that I do for me, and all that stuff that doesn't include them because they have their own lives now.
I spoke to someone who recently became an empty nester last year, and they told me, they're looking at me, they're like, Terrain, there are three things I'm going to do right now that my children are at the house. I can walk around my house in anything that I want, right? But
Yeah.
she said naked. I don't know why she wanted to experience that, but that was her thing, right? She's
Yeah.
like, I don't have to wear clothes anymore because my son's not there, my daughters aren't there, she's free, right? And the second thing, she said that she's going to rediscover some of the hobbies that she necessarily couldn't do when she became a mother and a wife. And the third thing she said is, I am going to travel.
Mhm.
I'm going to go to places, but she wasn't thinking about traveling as in like leaving maybe the country or going international, like crossing bodies of water. She was like, Terrain, I'm going to get into my car and just drive. And I don't have to worry about anyone calling me. I don't have to worry about dinner being on the table. None of that. So, what are some of the things that you're like, I can do all of this right now because there's no one at home that I have to maybe make sure that I'm available because I'm free. I'm an empty nester.
So I'm not sure that that's new for me. I've been doing that. I kind of have designed my life to fit my life the way I wanted to live anyways. And I've kind of thought that in doing that, I would teach my children to do that. So I really haven't held back on anything that I've wanted to do throughout my life with them. I've either taken them with me or made arrangements. So I really haven't given up anything to be a parent or a mom or whatever. I think maybe I'm not completely free because I still have this dog, and that's like having a kid. Like you got to get a babysitter, somebody's got to watch the dog. So I'm not 100% sure that I'm completely free, but the lifestyle is pretty similar to what it was. It's just I just don't have the "Are you cooking dinner tonight, mom?" kind of thing. Now I get to make whatever food I want, which I do enjoy. Whatever I want to eat, I am making it for myself. If I don't want to cook and I want to eat cereal, then that's what I'm doing. So that's nice. I like that. But everything else is it's pretty much the same aside from noise level. But when kids become teenagers, they don't hang out at home often anyways, or at least mine didn't. They were off and running anyway, so had jobs and all those things. So it doesn't seem like it's a huge difference other than those sometimes that I just wish I could walk to their room and see them sleeping in their bed or something.
Did you find it sometimes a little bit draining, I guess, because you're taking as a nurse, you're taking care of people at work, and then at home you're taking care of people as well. How were you able to balance both of those situations?
I think that was a learned thing. At probably the first couple of years of nursing, I didn't do it well. I had gone from being like a stay-at-home mom, so I was already a caretaker. That's all I ever did was take care of people. So when I became a nurse, I've only been a nurse about 10 years. When I became a nurse, I didn't know how to balance that very well. It took me a couple of years, and then after a couple of years, I just I figured out when my cup was getting empty, and I learned how to fill up my own cup because I figured out that when my cup was empty, I couldn't fill up anybody else. I couldn't help anybody else. So I'm a really big when things are getting a little empty, I go and find some nature. I'm a big one for the forest and running water and all those things. And I journal every day and I meditate and do different things like that to kind of keep my cup full.
With your children leaving the house, and I think your boys are the oldest, right? Your two
Hmm.
sons.
Yep.
Are you ready, respectfully, to become a grandmother?
Yeah, I am ready. I don't know that they're ready quite yet. I would have been ready already. I'm go ahead and bring it. It's really different with when you have so many children because all of my children did not stay like in a hometown, right? So they all went away. They all left and went to different places. And as when you have four, how do you decipher like where do you live so you're close so you have the ability to be close to your grandkids? Well, that's not an option for me. I'm going to be traveling to see all of them no matter what because they're all in different areas. But I would say, am I ready? Yes. I'm ready when they are. I don't, I'm not pushing the issue. If it doesn't happen for many years, that's okay. Whenever they are ready to be parents, I'm ready.
One woman, when she told me that she was transition, well, not transitioning, but when she became a grandmother, she said one of the best things that ever happened to her is that the children get to leave. Meaning that when they come over and they visit, she plays with them like she's the fun grandmother, right? She's one who gives them the gifts, who has fun time. She plays all these games. And then when she's had a day, she's like, okay, it's time for you guys to go home. She gets to send them home. What
Yeah.
type of, whenever it does happen, what type of grandmother do you think that you are going to be when that situation does arise?
I think same. I think that I'm done full-time parenting, so I am not trying to parent my grandchildren. Will I love on them and be so excited to have them and all that? Yes. And I will probably be just as excited when they go home. I've, because I'm done parenting and I don't and I think, you know, it'll be a great experience to have them just to be able to love on them and have fun and not have to be all the time on.
When you look back on your parenting journey, what's something that you had to overcome to continue to be the parent that you want to be to your four children?
Oh goodness, I had to overcome a million things. I'm not 100% sure that for me, I think the good parts of parenting are also the bad parts, right? I was very young when I had my sons, and I was just too young and dumb to know any better. So I let them do everything. I didn't withhold. I wasn't worried about them about much of anything. I mean, they ate dirt and did all sports and everything, and I just didn't have the knowledge to like be worried or afraid for them. So that was bad and good, right? Because they don't have a lot of fears. um they're able to kind of, you know, persevere through a lot of things because we were figuring it out together. Like my boys and I, we really did grow up together, I feel like, because I was not grown when I had them. And then when they were almost teenagers, my husband and I divorced, and that was a very long-term divorce. And so there was a lot of overcoming there for me to be able to show up for them, because you kind of have to put your own stuff aside, uh, and not, you know, attack each other and be nasty and all those things for them. It has to kind of become about them. So that was definitely something we overcame together.
Many young parents will explain the same situation where they feel that they were young when they had their first child. As you mentioned, like you're a teenage mother, you're 19. Some may say the same thing at 20 and 21. And when I look back at my grandmother, maybe your grandmother as well, they had children so young. And we're like, how the hell did they make that work? And back then, there's no internet and there wasn't
Yeah.
any of the resources that maybe we had. All they had to do was jump on the ferry, go to the farmer's market and pick up a man or pick up a woman, right? And they would live happily ever, well, somewhat happily ever after.
Right.
When you were going through being a young mother, especially at that age, which is quite young, right? We're fresh out of, I think, high school at that point. Um, did you have a support system that was able to help you along, or where did you draw your strength and maybe your wisdom from to help you along that journey, being a young mother at that age?
I really figured it out on my own a lot most. I'm just very determined and I don't quit no matter what. But my mom was very much like, well, you put yourself here, so you're gonna figure it out. Um, she there what I mean, could I always go to her if I needed something? Of course, but as far as like having a really big support system, I would say my grandfather was probably one of my biggest support systems because he understood that I was very young and I still needed to have a life. And so he would watch the boys a lot for me at that point. But as far as like having people tell me, well, do this or don't do that or whatever, I really didn't have that. I figured it out on my own. I went with my gut. I felt like they were my babies. They came from my body and I knew best. And so I just went and leaned in on that and did whatever I thought was the best thing for them. And I don't know if I got it right all the time, but I went with my gut most of the time.
For those who are watching on YouTube, Facebook, and my social media, please subscribe, share, and like. And remember to stay tuned for more incredible interviews like the one we have with Monique today. And we will